Oh.
Why do you not believe anything I say?
Eamon Holmes back on GB News Breakfast at 6 a.m.
Hello, I'm Esther McVeigh.
And I'm Philip Davis.
Whether you're watching or listening on TV, online or on radio, we handpick the latest stories, debates and expert opinions for your weekend. So whether that's politics, news or showbiz, we've got it covered.
Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store. You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Ray Addison. Headliners is up next, but first, here's the latest news. Rishi Sunak says he's giving everything to achieve a new deal over the Northern Ireland Protocol by the end of this weekend. Speaking to the Sunday Times, the Prime Minister said he's hopeful of a positive outcome with the European Union. Describing it as unfinished business, he said it's vital to ensure a return to power sharing in the province. Comments come after Ireland's Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, said an agreement was possible but not guaranteed in the coming days. Labour is calling for ministers to proscribe the Wagner Group as a terror organisation. Both the shadow, foreign and home secretaries are accusing the Russian mercenary group of being a terror outfit which commits, quote, appalling atrocities. The move would make it a criminal offence to belong to the private military company, attend its meetings or encourage support. Russian citizens living in Britain have staged a protest outside of the Russian embassy in London against their country's invasion of Ukraine. It comes a day after the one-year anniversary of the start of President Putin's incursion. The widower of poisoned dissident Alexander Litvinenko, who was there, said she was proud of the protesters.
I'm very proud to see this big crowd of Russian people, a lot of young people, maybe never went to this kind of protest, but I saw their faces and they've been all very loud to say how they're against the war, how they support Ukraine, how they hate Putin.
And hundreds have gathered in County Tyrone earlier to demand an end to violence in Northern Ireland after the attempted murder of an off-duty policeman. Detective Chief Inspector John Caldwell was shot outside a sports centre on Wednesday. He remains in critical condition. 5 suspects have been arrested. Detectives say the incident is being treated as terror-related and could be connected to the new IRA. On TV, online and on DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Time now for Headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. Tonight I'm joined to go through tomorrow's newspapers by 2 top comedians in this price range, Diane Spencer and Jonathan Cogan. Before we start, we'll be finding out what it's the weekend, so have you been up to anything fun? I've got low expectations with that question.
Really? Well, I think I might have COVID, so I've been laying low. I've not really done anything.
Now you tell us.
Yeah. Oh, it's fine. It's a hoax. And also, it's not a hoax. It's for Ofcom's sake. Carry on.
Either way, I wish you would have informed me before.
No,
I
don't really. I've got a slight cough, that's all.
Either way, got a kiss out of it. And how was did you perform?
It was wondrous. I've literally come straight from performing in Soho. I take part in this show called Drag in the Attic, and I have been mistaken for a drag queen. Because I'm so tall, which is lovely.
I mean, quite an impressive one, I guess. Do they score you out of 10? I'm not really sure how these things work.
Yeah, you sort of walk past and the waiting staff just hold up a little number and you're like, cheers, guys. I mean, obviously, like, the large hands as well give me away, but...
Beautiful. Right, well, let's try and start off by going through the front pages of the newspapers that we have. If we can get them on the screen. We get The Observer with revealed 1 in 100 police face criminal charge in 2022 is their main story. We're looking at that soon. On to the next one. We have the Sunday Telegraph and Sunak snubs Johnson over new Brexit deal. The next newspaper is Sunday Times. I'm the PM who will get Brexit done, says Sunak. As if anyone's ever said that before. Up next, we have The Sunday Express cracked down on £40 million migrant lawyers. And on to the next front page, which is the Sunday Mirror. Rishi, please reunite my family, is their main headline. And then on to the next one, to give us the Star on Sunday, Satanists go woke or go to hell, which might be what they wanted. Those are your front pages. So, first of all, we go to Jonathan to see something that's not great statistics that we're dealing with on the front page of The Observer.
No, it's not fantastic. So revealed, 1 in 100 police officers in England and Wales faced a criminal charge last year. So that's 1% of all police officers have been accused of a crime and awaiting charges. So these shocking figures show roughly 1 in 100 police officers face criminal charges, including for sexual offences last year alone. So an investigation has found that the Police Federation, the Staff Association for Police Officers, received 1,387 claims for legal support from members facing criminal charges in 2022. So, and also not only that, the numbers have skyrocketed by 590% since 2012, back when only a couple of hundred claims were made. So it does seem to be really on the rise. My immediate question is, this figure of 1%, is that higher than the average population in terms of, like, facing charges? Because if it's the same, then is that just saying that the police are representative of the population, or do we need them to be better and less?
You're right, I don't know those stats, but I guess surely it's not 1% of everyone in this nation is awaiting charges to do with, well, various charges.
Maybe just my friends,
Yeah. What, so
1% of your mates.
Just shy of 70 million people in the country.
So what would 1% be?
700,000.
Yeah, that checks out.
Does it?
No, to be honest,
you're in some bad circles. You fell in with a bad crowd, and we knew this when we booked you.
I'm a dangerous guy. But yeah, no, so it does seem to be a real problem here. Especially, you need the police to be trustworthy. You don't want them to be, especially like, sexual cases, all these kind of things. They deal with vulnerable people all the time. You want, the best of the best that can be afforded.
Yeah, and that increase is the worrying thing as well, isn't it? This 500-ish% increase. Dan, is this a story that worries you? Yeah, obviously.
I mean, I think it should worry everybody, because these are the people who are supposed to not do the crime. In fact, they're the people who go around telling everybody else to not do the crime, and they're doing it. So there is actually a circle in hell for people who do this. Yeah, in Dante's Inferno, it's a circle of hypocrites. And the figures are likely to be an underestimate, because let's remember, these figures come from the Police Federation of England and Wales, and these figures have come from people asking for financial support when they've got in trouble. For example, like the police officer who was found to be caught masturbating on a public train. Not once, but twice.
Shocking in two ways. There was a train?
I know, right? A whole
That's
train
why he was masturbating.
No wonder he was happy. You wait for ages, and then 3 of them... I won't finish that joke. Yeah.
So, of course, this is terrible. I know that we're making light of it, but...
Well, of all the different crimes that we're talking about, loads are bad, and that one's bad, but it certainly is worthy of ridicule, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, really? A train? I mean, like, I don't think it was even one of those dining carriages. Like, you want one with a bit of atmos, don't you?
Oh, yeah, you want, like, the Orient Express.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that would be magic.
Romantic meal first, of course.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, you're right, we did manage to take that story in a weird way. Let's move to the front page of the Sunday Telegraph, Diane. What are they leading with?
OK, so first of all, they've obviously got a lovely picture of the princess wearing a nice houndstooth coat as she visits rugby people. But they have got Sunak snubs Johnson over new Brexit deal. Now, this is because Boris Johnson is sticking his oar in, because he doesn't want to have his Brexit deal trumped by Sunak's Brexit deal, because he wants to be the Prime Minister that got Brexit done. Yeah. He doesn't want anybody else to take his glory from him, which is what I think this is. And also on the front page of this, we have the James Bond's books edited to remove racist references. Now, I appreciate that when they were changing the Roald Dahl books, they were trying to sort of remove language like, Augustus Gloop is fat. He's enormously fat. And they were changing this language. Now, fat is a descriptive word. And they say the twits are ugly people. And I
don't think twit's that nice.
No, I mean, yeah,
Take
the
all the
name,
words
the
out,
twits,
yeah.
right?
Well, there's a worse word that it could have been.
That's true.
But here, they're removing racist references. And to be honest with you, with this, I'm going with it. I think this is great because you've got to think about it. You've got a whole generation of people who watch the Bond films. And what if they want to go back and they want to read the books? And it just... I would just feel for the small child who reads it and says, wait a minute, I'm a black child and I don't like the way that I'm being described. I don't think you should remove references to race, like when you're describing people. I'm a white British woman. Call me by my race, that's fine.
Without mentioning race at all, so I've only ever seen the films and read the books. Certainly Dr. No would be a weird film if there's no mention of race at all. Like, why? What undercover mission are you going on there, Sean Connery?
Yeah, you do need to mention race to sort of, like, put people into different places. Like, you need to mention that, for example, if you wrote a book about what's happening right now, Putin is Russian. So you do need to mention things to have context.
But, Jonathan, is there a chance that this is just a publishing house thinking, oh, if we pretend to be editing out some words, we'll be mentioned on the front page of a national newspaper?
Do you think it could be a marketing drive? It certainly could be, because some people suggested that with the Roald Dahl books, where they made all these claims they're going to be changing it, there was a big public outcry, and then they didn't do anything. And obviously that's got loads of press for Roald Dahl. I think it's possible. Like, they've gotten rid of some of the sexist terms as well. So octopussy is now what would be a good replacement? I didn't think of one. But yeah,
Octo-kitty?
Octo-kitty, exactly.
Octo-lady.
Well saved there, because I was nervous for a while.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I mean, sensitivity readers,
Yeah. I thought Roald Dahl was already edited when I found out that the F in BFG was friendly. Come on, come on. To the front page of the Times now. Jonathan, what are they going with?
So on the Sunday Times, it is the low-level crimes get zero charges. So this is a story about how there seems to be, at least in public perception, that a lot of low-level crimes, such as bike theft or, like kind of petty robbery, or I think I made that up, but those kind of crimes, they're being reported. The police are noting them, but they're not chasing them up. So there's an example here of somebody who had their bike stolen. They knew where it was because it had a tracker on it. They told the police. The police gave them a crime number. But this chap got the impression that his crime was not important enough, despite knowing where his bike was. They said they'd call me when we're heading that way, but never did. So, you have the perpetrator, and something similar happened to me. I was on tour with my band. Our little cash box got stolen £1,000. They caught the guy, and they were like, oh, we could follow up with the, try and find out what the money is, but we're just not going to. We got the guy, and they're like, we're not a cash collection agency. I was like, well, you kind of are. That's kind of your whole thing.
You've stolen cash.
Yes,
is more your remit.
Wow.
Exactly, yeah. So
£1,000, by the way. We noticed that reference. Someone's doing all right.
Oh, that was the early days. That was the that was before we made good T-shirts. But yeah, this is So it does seem that it seems to be that people have lost their faith in reporting small crimes, and they don't really expect them to be taken care of.
Well, of course. I mean, it's deeply demoralising because something unfair has happened to you. And then when you call the police, who are the people who are supposed to sort this out, not only are they not sorting it out, but worse, they're under investigation because they're too busy masturbating on trains. And it's like, why is my bike being stolen? You're having a jolly on the train.
Two people went for a joyride, you could say.
But if someone had nicked your bike and you called the police and they said, I'm sorry, we can't help, because I'm just on the 10:15 from St Pancras, you'd be like, all right,
Yeah. Why are you panting?
I'm not going to interrupt you right now.
Yeah, but equally, right, OK, the police they haven't always been around. Let's remember that. The police were started in the 1800s, so we had a lot of time where we had no police, right? So what is going to replace the police? That's my question. Because we have now got people like the Euro Millions, people like, I'm just saying that yeah, Bruce Wayne made Batman, but that is like one dude. What I'm saying is we've got some millionaires, right? We've got some millionaires floating around. Can we have some kind of security force? Do you know what I mean?
You're calling for vigilantism.
I'm game.
I'm game.
Come on,
I'm
let's
in.
sell that lycra. Let's get in those unitards. I think we need to because clearly the police are not doing their job. So are we going to start having neighbourhood groups, made out of Facebook groups that are going to go around? Because there was a
Mob
group.
justice.
Yeah, but there was a group that did this for ginger people. If somebody was found to be taking the mickey out of ginger people, do you know what they'd do? They'd go round to that person's house, they would stick a carrot up their exhaust pipe because it meant the car wouldn't work. and then you knew what you'd done.
I'm glad you said exhaust pipe, because I didn't know where that story was going.
Yeah. Also, if they made that into a Batman film, I would not watch it. I'm sorry, that does not have the same gripping narrative. And then finally we move to the Daily Star, their front page, talking about Satanists. The second mention of Satanism so far tonight, by the way. I noticed there's a special place in hell for hypocrites, you noticed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just influenced by what I read in the press. I mean, I think that this is interesting. I don't think that they're changing their advertising. They're trying to sort of bring more people in, but I don't think it necessarily means they're going woke, because if you think about it, Satanists have always been woke, because they've always been sort of against what the church think. And the church have historically been misogynistic, they've been very patriarchal, they've limited people's freedoms, and Satanists are the opposite. They're like, hey guys, have sex, have contraception, let's go, let's be crazy, let's be fun. And I think they're just changing their advertising. I think that's what's happening here. They're trying to sort of make themselves as more sort of friendly and open. Not
Jonathan?
Like, we'll kill your chicken, but come and enjoy our roast chicken.
Killing chicken's less work. Are you tempted?
I don't think so. So I've always wondered with these guys, are they secular? Are they religious people who actually, believe in the devil and want to worship and, live in the devil's domain? Or are they strictly kind of atheists taking the mick, I should say, out of the whole thing?
Yeah.
I've always kind of wondered what their angle is. Do they believe in the spiritual dimension?
I think different Satanist groups have different angles. They're like
Reform and
the
Orthodox
Brownies and the Scouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be some religion in there, otherwise the Satan part of their name doesn't really make much sense.
Metaphorical.
We're up to date with that. We'll go deeper into the papers on the way next. We'll be finding out a few things to do with the royal family. We'll see you in 2.
It's all about family, being in people's living rooms, all the interaction and getting to know who our viewers and listeners are.
When I was young, my dad used to say, no, stop arguing. I wanted an outlet that would enable me to give my opinion.
People are going through a really hard time right now, and I know that you don't feel like you're being listened to by the establishment. I came to GB News because it's the People's Channel, and I want the audience to have their say on the events of the day.
We're dynamic. We do something different.
Democracy shows that the wisdom of the nation is in its people.
I get to travel to find out what the story is from a personal perspective.
The British people aren't fools. We know when we're not being told the full story.
We've got to work out how Britain moves forward from this.
It's the best country in the world.
The establishment had their chance. Now we're here to represent your views.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
We're proud to be GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
Do you not believe in prison?
I don't believe in prison.
I'm completely stunned.
I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
You're an inspiration to us all.
Clip that bit up.
Well, you are.
That's my ringtone. My political ambitions those days are gone, I can tell you.
She's only teasing. Go on.
He's probably going to want to lay down now. I'll give him 2 minutes to have one. Let's respectfully disagree. That's what we like on Jubes and Kerr. Come and join us. GB News, the People's Channel.
Michelle Dewberry, weekday evenings at 6 o'clock.
I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m.
What's the scoop?
I'll be joined by 2 of the country's top comedians.
That's right.
As we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight.
We're going to get into trouble.
If it's a big story, we'll be covering it.
Spill some tea on him.
There we go.
But we'll also have some fun.
I wouldn't stick up a bank.
My father didn't love me.
So anyway.
Headliners every night from 11 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512.
Virgin Media Channel 604.
Freesat Channel 216.
Freeview Channel 236.
And YouView, Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB+ radio.
With the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. I'm Stephen Allen, and this is Headliners with Jonathan Cogan and Diane Spencer. So, to the Mail on Sunday, we're almost starting with another story about self-identifying here.
I think Camilla's been identifying as a queen for about 20 years, if I'm completely honest. So Camilla will officially be known as the Queen rather than Queen Consort after King's coronation. So this change is likely to come after King Charles's coronation in May, according to world-placed sources. Will set the seal on a remarkable transformation for Camilla in the nation's affections. So when she married the Prince of Wales in 2005, it was widely assumed that she would never be called Queen when he ascended to the throne. And that was because of her long-standing relationship with Charles while he was married to Diana, who famously said in a Panorama interview, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. That sounds hot. But yeah, so it seems like her, the view of Camilla has changed and public perception seems to be more favourable towards her now.
Yeah, and the moral of the story is, if you are a side piece, hang in there.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's paid off, hasn't it?
That's the moral.
That might not be the moral. I believe side piece isn't the correct phrase, but you can't say the actual one. We all know what it is.
Well, I think it's nice. I mean, what's interesting is that they say that the press think that Queen Consort is too much for a mouthful, so already the newspapers are just dropping the consort. I mean, I think the word consort, isn't there like a kind of pudding that's like a consort or something? Because if you think about the words, right, listen, Queen Camilla Consort, doesn't it sound like cream vanilla?
Custard.
Something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe they should make a nice pudding to celebrate it, because they had that nice lemony thing for the Queen's Jubilee. Could we have, like, a nice new pudding for Queen Camilla?
Well, surely they've got to do some... I mean, Coronation Chicken was, the last one. I'm looking forward to the sandwich.
Oh, yeah, what's it going to be?
Yeah, I know, I can't wait. It's interesting.
As well, Queen Camilla, with
not
the
a sandwich.
vanilla.
Yeah, be an absolute mess.
No, she should have a pudding. Yeah, so I think this is good because, she is now the consort formerly known as Camilla. No, she's a queen formerly known as consort.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. She's rebranded. She's the queen. It's nice.
Yeah. Sunday's Times, Jonathan, and Microsoft, which coincidentally was my ex's nickname for me, turns out it's a tech monopoly.
Yeah, and my ex's nickname was Dropbox. So Microsoft makes its last stand in 69 billion battle for Call of Duty. So last year, Microsoft unveiled its £57 billion takeover of video game maker Activision Blizzard in January. And basically, when that happened, Sony issued a warning saying that Microsoft could restrict the distribution of the very popular video game Call of Duty on the PlayStation. And ever since, Microsoft has been fighting a battle to convince regulators to approve a deal that would give Microsoft control of a suite of hugely popular games, such as Candy Crush, Guitar Hero, Overwatch, and Crash Bandicoot. So basically, the issue is here, a huge software company, Microsoft, has bought Activision Blizzard, and now there's a worry that this is going to be a monopoly because they could essentially... with the new intellectual properties, not allow them on the PlayStation, its biggest competitor. So now there's this whole legal debate and battle going on about it. Dan, you're a gamer, right?
Yes.
Are you an Activision Blizzard gal?
No, I'm not. I'm not really into Call of Duty and some of their other games. But Microsoft did buy Mojang, who make Minecraft. And what is relevant about this is that obviously a lot of people now... you have your favourite console, you have your favourite way of playing games. Like, I'm a PC gamer, so I don't have an Xbox or a PlayStation. So the idea that they're going to take Call of Duty off PlayStation, to me, just seems silly, because it's naturally suited, because it's a first-person shooter, it's naturally suited to have, like, that sort of controller. But, I don't know, it's very strange because... he's trying to say, oh no, we're not going to take it off the PlayStation. And I agree, because I think you'd lose a lot of revenue. If you own the rights to the game, there's no point in taking it off the PlayStation so people can't play it.
But can you argue that it's going to bring everyone over to Xbox because it's so popular, and because Microsoft make Xbox, they were like, OK, PlayStation's done, everybody come over here, we've got all the goodies.
I suppose you could, but it will inherently lose something. Like a game that I play regularly on the PC called Rust, they brought it out and put it onto a console, and there are people who play it on the console who... they started then altering the game to make it more applicable for the console players, and they've got this whole legacy of PC players going, no, wait a minute, our fingers aren't working properly, and now the guns are aiming all differently. So...
I remember when I used to be young enough to be able to have a conversation about games. Basically, Max Payne 2 is the last time I did anything. Duke Nukem,
You can, that was great, yeah.
At the university back in those days.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, moving on. After I've showed my age, The Observer, Diane, and another tech company that's a monopoly. Well, it's certainly not pro-choice.
Well, well, this is interesting. So The Observer has run with the headline, Google adverts direct pregnant women to services run by UK anti-abortion groups. Now, this article is interesting because, to me, this is The Observer versus Google. And they're attacking Google, and they're using the very emotive, very emotionally charged subject of abortion to attack them. Because they're saying that whenever you type into Google something like teenage pregnancy help or something like that, which people will type in, they're saying that 47% of the adverts are from groups opposed to abortion. So if you read that, that means that 51% are from groups that maybe are offering healthy advice. Now, there is an issue here because when you go to somewhere like Google for advice, you do want impartial advice, especially with something as delicate as this, or any medical issue. But everybody knows how Google is laid out. When you get those first things, you get the adverts at the top, and they are labelled as ads.
Yeah.
And the issue is that some of these ads, they'll say things like pregnancy crisis helpline, which sounds like it's going to offer you impartial advice, but it's actually not.
But isn't the point, would Google not have a duty to be clear about this? You know, it's taking money from someone buying those adverts, and it's serving those to people who will have a search term that is fairly obvious what they mean. Should they not put something in the algorithm that if you are clearly, if we know what you mean by your search term, we shouldn't be offering you something that's disguising its way into your feed?
When you Google Coca-Cola and it says, "Oh, did you want Pepsi?" It's like, no, I did not want Pepsi. Pepsi goes against my fundamental beliefs.
So what you're saying is that some particular search terms should not have adverts, because Google have said that these clearly say that they're ads, they're clearly in bold, and I think anybody who's used to using Google knows how the search engine sort of delivers its results. So I suppose the only way that Google could stop that is if, with certain search terms, they decide to not show you adverts.
We'll just ask Jeeves, he keeps it quiet. Sunday's Telegraph, Jonathan, and are we ending the time of 2 wheels good, 4 wheels bad?
Oh, it could be. I'm more of a 3-wheel Reliant Robin kind of chap. So.
3-wheel, I've had an accident.
Yeah. So the highway code needs an update to protect pedestrians from cyclists. So pedestrians need protecting from cyclists with new laws to match the updated highway code, a barrister commissioned by the government has said. So Laura Thomas was asked by the Department for Transport to produce an independent report into whether a new law should be introduced for cyclists who cause death or serious injury. And her report concluded there was a persuasive case for cyclists who kill or injure pedestrians to face laws similar to those brought against by motorists. So basically it's being said that cyclists caused injuries aren't being taken that seriously by the law. And under current laws, it's quite interesting, a cyclist who kills can be prosecuted and jailed for up to 2 years under a Victorian law for furious and wanton driving intended for horse-drawn carriages. However, motorists face a life sentence if charged and convicted of causing death by dangerous driving. So there's a massive discrepancy here between the two different vehicles. If you're driving like an absolute weapon and you kill somebody, it doesn't really matter which vehicle you're in, right? It's your behaviour has endangered the lives of others, and you should
even if it matters which vehicle, you would have that built into the sentence, but it wouldn't be such a stark difference of like, 2 years you'd be out in one versus the rest of your life in prison.
This is insane to me. It's absolutely insane. If you've killed another human being, that's manslaughter. How does being on a bike mean that, oh, no, wait, that's just bad driving? Like, how does that take away from the fact that you've ended another human being's life?
If anything, you've probably been more dangerous to do it on a bike because you've got to go.
Like juggle knives.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to murder somebody while you're on a bike, like, I mean, maybe that's the thing. If you want to murder somebody because the police aren't going to solve the crime because they're too busy on the trains, then, yeah, do it on a bike.
So the idea of a hitman film where the hitman is a cyclist.
On a bike.
I'd watch that rather than your Ginger Batman, if I'm brutally honest.
Hey, I didn't say that Ginger Batman was a film. It was a real-life gang, mate.
Still, I wouldn't tune into that. Thrilling stuff, I'm sure you'll agree. Break now, and then we've got police apathy, schools being compared to prisons, followed by actual big boy oh, man alive, can't say that. Mega prisons, basically, is the quick way of doing it. And if you're a fan of tattoos, you're gonna love it. We'll see you there.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akue, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
The guy went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions.
I have no time for cultural totalitarianism.
We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing!
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Stephen Allen. Let's go into Sunday's Telegraph, Diane. And as a white working-class man, have I got something that I can blame for me not getting to Cambridge rather than just my lack of intelligence?
You do? Oh, yes, says the man with a degree in chemistry.
Not from Cambridge.
Hasha. So Cambridge blocked white students from applying for course. So this was the University School of Arts and Humanities, and they had created a postgraduate course. And this course was supposed to increase diversity because apparently a lot of the people who are going to do the postgraduate courses at Cambridge have already studied at Cambridge and Oxford. So I think it's about 40%. So that's quite a bulk of them. So they were like, right, we need to diversify. And all they did was look at race. They didn't look at anything else. They didn't look at, for example, financial situations of students. So when they put the call out for lecturers, this was in February, they said they listed all the students that this course would be for. And they said it was for Black, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, British Pakistani, British Bangladeshi. So if you're British Korean or Chinese British or white British. Jog on. You're not allowed. And so obviously some of the lecturers went, this seems a little racist. Are we racist now? And thankfully they have changed this now to include more people, especially people from white working class backgrounds, because that's actually very, very important. They're the people as well, like anybody from a working class background, to get to Cambridge University has got a much farther, bigger journey to make.
But, Jonathan, it's I heard they're humanities department, so they're not proper degrees anyway.
No, they're not. They're all made up.
Yeah.
They're all made up. That's all true. Don't go to university. It's a scam unless you're doing STEM, and even then, you know, keep your eye out. Also, what are the necessary and sufficient conditions for working class? Because I think I'm middle class, and I like to think my sister is working class just because she knows less than me. Is that how it works?
No, I don't think that's how it works.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Do you know,
as somebody who didn't get into Cambridge, I should know.
That's what this show should be called, isn't it? People who didn't get into Cambridge, other than when Andrew was on and he was Oxford, wasn't he?
Yeah, I assume he went to both.
Yeah, but if ever you work for the BBC, when I used to do a bit of that, they actually have a question that tests your working class background in terms of that level of...
They do Cockney rhyming slang, and if you can fill the end of the...
Yeah, they show you a fish knife, and if you try and, like, do the grouting with it, you're in. Yeah. Now, they ask you what your parents did, the main breadwinner, what they did for a living when you were 14.
Wow.
That's their way of trying to test it.
Is having a trust fund a job? I don't really know.
Let's move on to Sunday's Mirror, Diane, and it's the story of a mega prison, which sounds like a bingo hall, but apparently it's not.
I think this is absolutely incredible. So a mega prison in El Salvador where 40,000 suspected gangsters have been crammed in side by side. Now, President Nayib Bukele, let's just paint the picture of who this guy is. He has self-styled himself on Twitter as the world's coolest dictator. He is the guy who made Bitcoin a legal tender in El Salvador. And let's remember that this was before the price of Bitcoin. And he's been talking to all the people about seascaping. And now he's created this mega prison. And this prison, for example, there are no recreational facilities whatsoever. And he has created a space. Each building has 32 cells of 100 square metres, with each one set to hold 100 prisoners.
You get a square metre each?
That's what it sounds like.
Sounds like state school. It's horrible.
And these cells have just 2 sinks and 2 toilets for all 100 inmates to use. Ugh. Now, I'm sorry, but as Jonathan said earlier, I am a gamer. And one of those games I play is a game called Prison Architect, right? And you have to build a prison. And can I tell you, if I put 100, it's a simulation game. If I put 100 prisoners with 2 toilets and 2 sinks, I've got a riot on my hands. And this is insane that he's done this. He's rounded up 63,000 gangsters already.
Oh,
my word, there's the picture.
Well, that was a football team.
Yeah, so he's rounded up 63,000 gangsters already. Apparently 2,000 have already gone into the jail. There is no sense of rehabilitation here. There's nothing. He's just basically saying, once you're there, you're there for life.
Packed in, aren't they?
But these people are already... I mean, there's no trial. There's no trial. He's just rounding them up and packing them in.
Crazy.
No recreation, but they do get to do the conga.
Oh, my God. I mean, is that yoga class? It looks awful. And this guy, I don't know what he's doing. He's kind of turning El Salvador with the Bitcoin and now these like prison cubes. He's turning it literally into like Judge Dredd. It's like a dystopian 2080.
Does look like a scene from a film, yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
I think he's just trying to be as disincentivizing to criminals as he can be. He's like, look, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, but he's also adopted cryptocurrency, which was initially used by criminals and is still used by criminals to launder money.
Well, he's got to do something to try and fill these prisons. They're huge. So at least he's done something to try and get more people breaking the law, getting some Bitcoin involved.
The system works.
Yeah. Sunday's Star, Diane, and the prison where you have... Still prison-related, we've got a theme. But it's a prison where you have to be polite and respectful to the inmate scum.
So the Daily Star on Sunday, prison guards ordered to join, quote, sensitivity classes so they don't insult sex offenders. Now, I do think this is a rather inflammatory title because if you think about it, this actually does make sense. The prisoners are there, again, yes, to serve their time, but they are there surely to be rehabilitated in some sense. And if you have guards who represent the outside, and if a guard is there making sexual slurs or ethnicity slurs or is just generally the banter is getting out of hand, then surely that is a problem. Do you not think? Do you not think that they should be the model of how you should behave? Do you not think that?
Jonathan, should they be the very model of a modern Major General?
Well, I've always kind of thought that the screws in a prison, the whole thing is like they're kind of really mean and tough, and that like if there's any job where you're allowed to do that, that's kind of there. I mean, I don't like tyranny. I don't like, I don't think they should bully him. But what could they? I want to know what they're saying that offends sex offenders, because that's got to be some pretty brutal stuff. I want to know the depth of depravity that they go to kind of upset the most deviant people in the country. But
I mean, yeah, I understand. I totally get that. I mean, you want to do that as a writing exercise.
Absolutely.
I'm with you there. I can see where you're kind of going.
I'm going to get on ChatGPT later and be like, I'm a sex offender. Insult me. Don't clip that.
The next time there's an advert made for this show, it's going to be brilliant. Yeah. But, I mean, Diane makes the point that this is actually, you could write the same story saying people who work in a job should be professional.
You should be professional. Yeah. And surely, like, because the guard is the connection to the outside life. You're saying, no, you've done wrong. Well, like, if they're in there going, well, wait a minute, yeah, we've done wrong, we committed the crime, we went over the border and we have hurt somebody else. But then you've got a guard, and the way they're talking and the way they treat you, you think, oh, yeah, but everybody talks like this. It's just I got caught. Like, if there's nothing to look up to, nothing to look forward to, nothing to aspire to, what's the point?
Episodes of Prison Cell Block H would have been dull, though, wouldn't they? Mail on Sunday, Jonathan, and when you got to go, you got to go, unless your head teacher has locked the carsy.
Yes, indeed. Let me just find that quick story. 19 or 17. Where's my... yes. No, 17 is... Wait, where are we up to?
We're going to... imagine if there's...
The toilet one.
Story 13. Imagine there's a head teacher and a toilet involved. There can't be many of them.
No,
that we're dealing with.
I just haven't known any of them. So, the head teacher slams parents who compared his school to a prisoner of war camp after it was struck by TikTok riots during a day of chaos, and warns them your child may not always represent the full story. Well, I don't believe that for a second. So, Chris Stokes, head teacher of Farnley Academy Leeds, warned that children may not always represent the full story, and the toilets were closed because of serious safeguarding events. So basically, this is a school which has essentially locked all the toilets during lesson times because kids were going in there and vaping. Now, anyone knows, any kid worth his salt knows, wait till the teacher turns around, then vape. You don't have to go out the room. Just do it. Look, just say it's your, Lynx Africa or whatever. Like, just vaping class. That is the moral here. But basically, everyone's got really upset. They're saying it's, a violation of their human rights, not be able to go take I can say slash, I think, a slash in the middle of a classroom. Just...
Well, don't take it in the middle of the classroom.
Well,
in the middle of the class,
state school, it's fine. But yeah, so basically, everyone's been annoyed. There's been an uproar, and he's like, nah, it's fine. We've just, we've locked the toilet. Deal with it.
Yeah.
What I think is really interesting about this is that the kids have connected on social media and they've decided that protesting and rioting is the way forward. I mean, is this like a sign of the times that we're in? Like, because we see a lot of protests on the news.
Don't let those prisoners get on TikTok, because there'll be some serious riots. Yeah.
I mean, unless they're doing a dance routine. Yeah. But you've got like all of these protests that happen. Like, you've got Just Stop Oil, you've got Extinction Rebellion. Obviously, there's like a big running thread, and these kids are kind of going, no, we're going to do it. What I disagree with is the parents comparing it to a prisoner of war camp. I think that's a little hyperbolic there. I think that's a little over the top. Although, young ladies were stopped from going to the bathroom when they specifically were on their period, potentially on their period, and it's already like a really cringy time for a girl to sort of have that, because like it's just a horrible time of life. You don't really know what's happening. And
I still don't know what's happening, if I'm completely honest.
And then to sort of be denied the right to go to the loo, that is pretty horrible.
But do you remember from school, there are an awful lot of, statistically, there shouldn't have been that many girls not swimming. Do you know what I mean? It was such a great excuse.
We were talking about synchronicity. Yeah. We get in sync.
Still, just mathematics.
Swimming.
It's like when you sit in... Is that what that means? That is a mental image that's ruined me. Right, that's it for this part. Got a little lie down now. But after the break, the final historical, admittedly unhinged section of headliners. But tonight, we thought we'd try something a bit different. So instead, we've got what towns have the most virgins, a virtual kissing machine, and where to survive the upcoming zombie apocalypse. Ooh, wait, that's not different at all, is it? We'll see you there.
First and foremost, I am a GB News fan, and I was before I was working here. Just love the fact that we're asking the questions that a lot of establishment media won't ask.
With a bit of a twist, we not only want to inform you, but we want to keep you entertained.
It's worth the drive because you get in and the team's all ready and waiting, they're itching to go, and it's a proper little family.
GB News is the people's channel.
It's the audience that makes the programme sing.
We're giving our viewers and our listeners a voice. I see the thousands of your letters, tweets, emails, you name it, coming in.
Britain is broken. How on earth did we get into this mess? But more importantly, how do we get out of it?
The establishment had their chance. Now we're here to represent you.
It's time for something different. It's time for GB News. I'm very patriotic. I believe in Britain. Our best days lie ahead.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
Join us here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi, Andrew Pierce here. Join me every Friday lunchtime for a proper no-nonsense debrief of the week's events. With special guests in the studio and the GB News team on the ground, I'll be getting you up to date with news, some intelligent discussion, and my own sharp take. The weekend starts here with me every Friday lunchtime on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. Join me on GB News on a Sunday morning for topical discussion, debate, arts and culture, and sometimes even some ethical dilemmas.
I don't always agree with you, Michael.
Michael Portillo, Sundays on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my two comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Here on GB News Live, we'll be keeping you in the picture, finding out what's happening across the country and finding out why it matters to you. We'll have the facts fast with our team of reporters and specialist correspondents. Wherever it's happening, we'll be there from 12 noon on TV, radio and online. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Patrick Christie's, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6. We tackle the day's news agenda like you've never seen before. It's high tempo, high octane, the most controversial topics, and the best guests. You will not be able to take your eyes and ears off it. I'm not afraid to ask the questions that you really want answered. 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Lawrence Fox, on GB News. Frank, fun, fearless, and sometimes serious. Much as I love a Friday night punch-up, what I really want is a battle of ideas. I want to look at things differently. I want to hear different voices and engage with your unique experiences. Every Friday at 7 p.m. on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. Let's go straight to Sunday's star, Jonathan, and good advice for any Satanists who've got a goat and a willingness to travel.
Sounds like Sam Smith making a curry. So UK town where people are most likely to be virgins, according to studies. So have you ever wondered what part of the UK has the most virgins? Well, according to a new study...
What's wrong with if you have?
Yeah.
Just Googling for that.
Yeah. So a new study basically said...
on trains.
Brummies. Brummies are the town with the most virgins. So presumably because it's the least attractive accent, as we can all concur. So more than 1 in every 20 folk in Birmingham said they have never had sex, with around 1 million adults living in the city. That works out at 60,000 adults who've never had a night of passion. Can you guess who the least virgins per capita?
Yeah, certainly in Ashfield, just outside Mansfield.
Could be. It could be.
And it was all my work.
Yeah.
What? No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's it, that's right.
There's a blue plaque with my name on it. That's not what we're saying.
No, it's Newcastle.
Oh, close.
Yeah, pretty similar. So only 1% saying they've never romped. Wow, only 1%. That's, with a population of 83...
I mean, some of those are pensioners. Some of those are, like, in care homes. I suppose it's historical romping.
Well, no, they could be pretty dodgy care homes. Like, you know, you never know what happens there.
I mean, I've done quite a few gigs in Birmingham, and that is a very fun town. So that really surprised me that came out. And I guess, like, also, who's going to answer this question, number one? Maybe people who are more likely to be virgins are more likely to answer surveys if they live in Birmingham.
I get that. You can't trust survey people.
Nah, you really can't, because it's not totally accurate.
Who walks up to a stranger with a clipboard? Virgins.
Yeah.
Just in case this is their lucky time.
They said that a total of 3% of millennials aged between 25 and 34, and this is wonderful language, Daily Star, said they'd never bonked. My thing is the repeated use of the word bonked in this article, because I know it's quite a funny word that I used to sort of hear when I was younger, but the Daily Star, still, they're bringing it back, and it just sounds like you've been accidentally headbutted during the motion.
I got headbutted in the tooth once that was horrible.
Oh.
Yeah, oh, God.
Knocking your teeth is the worst. Like, or when you, like, snog someone and you've got a brace and they got a brace.
And your brace is entangled and you're stuck there.
Oh, no, I've never had that. I've never been hooked up by the brace.
Let's move on to the Times, Sunday Times, Diane, and I make sure that I'm the alpha male by always asking to work with Jonathan. But other people take their advice from Andrew Tate.
Yeah, unfortunately. So in the Sunday Times, the title is "Schools to Blame for Boys Idolising Andrew Tate, Says Sacked Teacher." Now, let's just underline the word sacked. So this person, Will Noland, was sacked from Eton College. And unfortunately, he presents a little bit of a weird buffet. He presents one of those platters where you think, oh, is that a plate of sausages? And then you realise in the middle, there's a couple of poos. He basically says that in a properly functioning education system, he's blaming the school system for boys having a crisis of masculinity. He's saying that the school is not teaching chivalry. The schools are not teaching that you become a strong, masculine man to stand up for the weaker people, that you become a strong person to look after your family. He's saying that schools are not teaching people this. And I guess my argument would be, well, no, they're teaching people maths and physics and geography and history.
So it's the job of society to teach these things to kids, not just schools.
Yeah, I feel like this guy's wrong. And the reason why I compared him to a poo on a plate is because some of his ideas are not great either. He sort of made quite a controversial video called The Patriarchy Paradox, which repeated claims that women would revert to a primitive life without men. Now, no offence, chaps, but if you weren't here, I wouldn't be running around with a club trying to smash seagulls in the face. Like, I think I would just carry on with my life.
You say that now. Sunday Star, Jonathan, they used to say, show me a man who doesn't want sex and I'll show you a man who's just had some, but that has changed.
Very true. Again, this is kind of related. So young men sex breakdown with bonking, there we go, at 30-year low. A celibacy epidemic looms. Where is Nick? Anyway, so a new study found that men in their 20s are twice as likely to be single than women of the same age. So a study says young men are experiencing a sex breakdown and are twice as likely to be single than young women. I thought a sex breakdown is when you've had too many shandies and you have to thumb it in.
Call the AA.
Yeah, call the AA.
A very nice man turns up, which is good.
Yeah. AA, what could...
Very, very nice man.
Yeah. Yes, lovely. So basically, men aren't really getting laid. They're not having relationships at a rate that is half the rate that women are, which is kind of interesting when you think about it, because you think it'd be fairly equal, but it's not. It's like the high-value men are essentially, to go full Andrew Tate on it, are having relations with lots of women, whereas the average low-value male isn't. And that's just, it's sad. Basically, men need more chivalry, like the other guy was trying to teach, but
there is a solution, Dan, which we can get from the Sunday Star. You can kiss on the internet.
Yes.
I hope I get a good review on Lip Advisor.
Oh, nice.
Wait, so
Chinese
remote kissing device with silicone lips lets users kiss through the internet. I'm particularly lucky. I have a very enthusiastic husband, so the only silicone I have is all kitchenware. But this is actually a remote pair of lips that contains pressure sensors and has certain temperature fluctuations. So I guess you sort of stick it on your phone.
There it is.
Oh, there we go. Wow.
Every single man who's seen that has just thought the same thing. look at it.
They're next to each other. Why not just kiss?
Yeah, that's
Oh, they're siblings. They're just trying it out.
But also it's in case that, you know, the person you want to smooch happens to be contagious and you sort of want to get that sensation. Now, I can sort of understand this. Human beings, you know, even if you're long distance, you want a bit of contact and warmth. But these people, it's on sale. It's about £35 for a silicone kiss. And you can also sort of try kissing strangers, I guess, without...
Just dialing random numbers.
Yes.
Hello. My worry is that it's made in China, so it's going to scan your mouth and steal your dental records. That's always a risk.
Less than a minute to try and cover this one. If we could, then we get to look at this. In the event of the upcoming zombie apocalypse, there's one place where you want to be, Jonathan.
Yes, there is, and it is not the north of England. So the best place in the UK to survive zombie apocalypse, it's bad news for northerners. So Essex, famous for its multiple terrible TV shows, is apparently the best place in the United Kingdom to survive a zombie apocalypse. So a rural corner of the country, famously known for Towie and other such trash, is the best place to survive an invasion of the undead, researchers reckon, because it's... Is it near the sea?
Essex, it has a coast.
It has a coast, and it's also got loads of empty buildings and...
it's got nuclear bunkers.
Does it?
If you drive, because I work in Essex sometimes, there's a sign that points to secret nuclear bunker. How secret are you if you have a road sign? But there we go. And also, zombies are famously after brains, so that explains that. So the show's nearly over. Let's take another quick look at Sunday's front pages. The Observer revealed 1 in 100 police faced criminal charge in 2022. Sunday Telegraph goes with Sunak snubs Johnson over new Brexit deal and James Bond edited to remove racist references. Sunday Times, I'm the PM who will get Brexit done, says Sunak, and low-level crimes get 0 charges. Sunday Express, crackdown on £40 million migrant lawyers. The Sunday Mirror, Rishi, please reunite my family. And finally, the Daily Star, Satanists go woke or go to hell. And Bake Off contestants in inclusive TV T-shirts in recruitment drive. That'll get them in. That's all we have time for. Thank you to my guests, Jonathan and Diane. Tomorrow night, it's Andrew Doyle, joined by Scott Capiro and Leo Kearse. Until then, have a good one.
It's all about family, being in people's living rooms, all the interaction and getting to know who our viewers and listeners are.
When I was young, my dad used to say, Nana, stop arguing. I wanted an outlet that would enable me to give my opinion.
People are going through a really hard time right now, and I know that you don't feel like you're being listened to by the establishment. I came to GB News because it's the People's Channel, and I want the audience to have their say on the events of the day.
We're dynamic. We do something different.
Democracy shows that the wisdom of the nation is in its people.
I get to travel to find out what the story is from a personal perspective.
The British people aren't fools. We know when we're not being told the full story.
We've got to work out how Britain moves forward from this.
It's the best country in the world.
The establishment had their chance. Now we're here to represent your views.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
We're proud to be GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me! And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512.
Virgin Media Channel 604.
Freesat Channel 216.
Freeview Channel 236.
And YouView Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio.
With the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
He's the king of breakfast TV, and he's back.
Eamon Holmes, back on the TV with me this morning.
Even remember my name.
I know, it's been 4 months. You have holy water by your bed?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
already to bless.
Oh, Eamon. Oh.
Why do you not believe anything I say?
Eamon Holmes back on GB News Breakfast at 6 a.m.
Hello, I'm Esther McVeigh.
And I'm Philip Davis.
Whether you're watching or listening on TV, online or on radio, we handpick the latest stories, debates and expert opinions for your weekend. So whether that's politics, news or showbiz, we've got it covered.
Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store? You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
Good evening, fellow travellers. Welcome along to Neil Oliver Live on GB News TV and on radio. Tonight on the show, I'll be talking to actress